Hiya folks, JD here, and today we've got a comparison video, and the comparison video that we have is of the family of Syma X drones. So we've got the X20 and the X21, as well as the new X22 as well. So, okay, so what am I comparing? Because one of them has got a camera, this one, and these two haven't. Well, I'm not going to be comparing the camera, this is purely going to be a flight comparison. And try and see through the evolution if they have actually altered. When I've flown them individually, I've thought they have. I thought the X20 was okay, but the X21 was better and the X22 was the best. Now, when you stack them up side by side, is that actually the case? Or are they not as good, or are they both as equally as good as each other? So first off, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the X20. We're going to take the X20 around only for about half a minute's flight, and then we're going to bring it down, and then we're going to take up the X21, and then we're going to take up the X22. So the features I'm going to be using are auto takeoff, auto landing, as well as just flying her around from the transmitter, not from the smartphone, because obviously these two can't fly from a smartphone, but this one can because of its camera. So I'm going to take these round, and then we'll have a verdict at the end then to see exactly which one I think is best and which one actually looks as if it performs best as well. So with that folks, let's take them up. Okay, so before we take her up, let's have a quick little look at the transmitter evolution as well, because we started off with the X20 with a little really small, almost unusable analog sticks on this tiny little Syma controller, which turned out to be really good. I really like this. It did take a lot of using though in order for me to come to that conclusion. The X21 as well. Now we've got the standard but a smaller Syma controller. This is what they started bundling with the X5UC and the X5UW as well. And then we've got the X22W transmitter, which is the same as the X21 in almost every way. So what I'm going to do first is we're going to do the X20. So with this, I'm going to just pop her on and then pop on the transmitter, single one up and one down to bind. Now you can see all LEDs are solid, so let's just calibrate these gyros. And see. I can't remember if this does actually calibrate. Yeah, it does. There we go. Calibration complete. And with that, let's take her up. So I'm going to unlock the motors with this one, I think, because... Oh no, there we go, it has... I was remembering it correctly. I fly so many of them, it's quite difficult to remember whether or not this one did have automatic takeoff, or if it did just come in with the X21. Wow. So we've got, as you can see from the floor, we've got a very, very cold day today. Flips. Okay, speed mode 2, let's take her out a little bit, let's fly her around. Okay, so we've got a breeze coming in here today of about 4 miles an hour. Obviously it's a lot more open today because all the trees now have lost all their leaves, so therefore it is going to be a lot more open. Oh, this thing was nippy. I found it a little bit strange, a little bit difficult when I first started flying her to use the particular transmitter that came with her. Obviously I didn't have much of a choice in going with anything else because this isn't a camera model, but I did find that after a while I just got used to it. But it did take me a long time to get used to it. But this really did open me up to a world where nanocopters could be fun, and since this guy I have enjoyed them a lot more. Look at him go though, he's just flying so well. Even with this little breeze that we've got here today, he's still battling it, no problem, cutting through even with those tiny motors, and they are tiny on this thing. Alright, let's bring him down. One key landing as well. Now with this guy, I did lose a rubber bung on the bottom of him shortly after when I first got him and took him out for his first flight, but that hasn't altered his weight distribution, it hasn't altered which way this guy flies. I still like this guy an awful lot. Right, okay, well let's put this to one side and let's take up the X21. I'm going to turn off the transmitter and the quadcopter there. I don't want those on for the minute when I'm taking something else up. So actually first of all, I forgot with this guy. I got to plug in the battery. Because with the X20 the battery is all encased and you just charge it using the micro USB port at the back. With this guy though, unfortunately, you do have to, let's take it out, you do have to plug him in because his battery, as you can see, this one, they did include a removable battery with the X21. Okay, let's close up. And this is always the fun I get with battery compartments at the back end of quadcopters. There we go. Oh, that actually went in remarkably easily. Okay, let's hold down the on button Okay, there we go. So single up, one down to bind. Let's calibrate this gyro as well. Calibration complete. With that, we're going to use the one key takeoff, even though his one key takeoff on the X20 was both buttons together. With this guy, it's just the one. So if we push it, and up it goes. He doesn't take off to as high, and I find this guy was, yeah, look at him. He's sinking a bit today. Why is that, I wonder? Let's see him come up a little bit higher, not too high, but just a little bit high. There we go. Right. Now let's have a little look at him. Obviously I'm controlling his rudder there just for a second. Oh, it's snowing. God damn, it's snowing. Ha! Well, this is quite a nice little review. So here we go. So the X21, I'm going to take him up into speed mode 2. But look, he looks as if he's really struggling today. Look at that. I'm flat down in speed mode 2 and he's just like, nah, I'm not going to really go anywhere, John. But the crazy thing is look at the trees. We have no discernible breeze here at all. But yet he's struggling. It's quite strange. When I flew this a couple of weeks after, actually a couple of months after the X20, I could have sworn this was the same as the X20, but the flying was a little bit tighter. Now the cornering is a lot better, the banking is a lot better. I find this guy to be a lot better than the X21, than the X20. But it's a bit strange. I would never have said that he was actually having that many issues when it came to getting through breeze. But he is, look at him, I'm flat down again on speed mode 2. It's almost as if, and I hate to use this word, no I don't, I quite like the word, he's gutless. Absolutely gutless. Now obviously you use that word more so when it comes to cars or motorbikes, something with a petrol engine, even a petrol RC car, but at the same time, I do find this guy a little bit, he's struggling. When he comes back, obviously he's against this little breeze, but you can see from the snowfall as well that it's not really, the snow is pretty much falling directly down, so I don't know why this guy is finding it so difficult. But his flying, look at him, he is really steady. Even though he's having difficulty, he is really steady. I think he's slightly bit more tuned than the X20. I think his flight is a little bit more non-erratic, and it's a little bit more concentrated on the fact that I think they have actually fixed a few things. It seems to me that they certainly have. I mean, his turning, his flight, it just seems quite ballerina-esque. Okay, let's bring this guy down as well. One key landing. He's travelling a bit. There we go, and eventually he lands. Now let's have a little look at the bungs under here. Okay, bungs under there, fine, look. Not lost any at all. But this guy, I like him. His flight is a little bit more tuned than the X20. Alright, let's take up the X22 then, the newest of the X Nano family. Let's do the final, and this is the X22W. Let's turn him on. Let's turn on the transmitter. Single, one up and one down to bind. Once again, let's calibrate those gyros. Calibration complete. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, click a button, and up we go. More laboured in the takeoff. Let's kick him up to speed mode 2. Oh god, he's really having difficulty as well. Oh, here comes quite a big snow flurry. But all in all, this guy's flying, and he reminds me a lot now as I'm taking him up of the X21, but a little bit slower again. He's not as, he's a little bit, he is a little bit heavier than the X21, and obviously that does show in his flight as well. So he is finding it a little bit more difficult to fly around, but at the same time he is doing it with you know, relative ease. He's getting through that breeze, he is moving his way down the court, and then when I turn him around he is coming back to me then without much issue. Once again, he does seem to be a little bit more stable again than the X21. Look at him. I mean, if I just hold him there in altitude hold mode, if I just alter his direction slightly just so I can keep him within frame, and then let go, look at that. Remarkably still, remarkably steady. Obviously we have got a breeze coming towards us today, so I was just moving him just to keep him within the breeze, but at the same altitude point he's not fluctuating up and down. Movements are nice. LEDs I find a little bit dull on this model, if I'm honest. But look at him go. Really nice. Really, really nice. Right, I don't know what's happening with this snow. I don't know whether I should actually stop flying. If it looks to be breaking actually. Bristol is not normally a city known or associated with snow. We normally get a couple of seconds like this and then it dies off. But he doesn't seem to be bothered at all. All of my inputs are being correctly relayed. But again, this guy just isn't as quick to cut through the breeze as the X20. God, you know what? If somebody had said that to me a few months ago after flying this guy, I would have said, nope, you're wrong. But actually not. Here he goes, banking again, turns around. As soon as you bank him, turns on a 6 bounce, boom, straight in, no problems. And then back to me. Alright, let's bring you down. Alright then folks, so what do I think? Well, let's start off with the X20 right back at the beginning. So, this is what we have. Transmitter and quadcopter. I liked him. I thought he struggled a little bit through this little bit of a breeze that we've got. Now, as you saw in the video, the breeze is, well, it's negligible. You can't see any part of the trees move, but it is enough to have this guy struggling a bit in speed mode 1. So I shifted him up to speed mode 2. He still struggled a little bit, but he was a little bit better with that speed mode. Now, what I found was that I had the hardest time trying to get used to this again, just because of these flat analog sticks. It was easily done, and I did find it a little bit easy after quite a few minutes of flight. I enjoyed him. I thought he was very good, and I was quite intrigued to see how he stacked up against the X21. Well, the X21, he seems to fly a little bit better than the X20. He seems to have had a little bit of work done, a little bit of stabilisation, and he does fly a little bit better. But he's just a lot less powerful. Now, you could take that into consideration because he is so much larger than the X20. There's the X21, and there's the X20. You can see the size difference is quite staggering. But at the same time, I wouldn't have thought that on its own would have been enough to render him gutless, because weight-wise, he feels obviously heavier, he has got a larger battery, but at the same time it's not a massive weight difference. But yeah, I think if they'd put slightly larger motors on this, it would have been a little bit better. But all in all, I did enjoy the X21's flight. I did think that it was a little bit tighter, as I said, a little bit nicer to fly around, but I was just a little bit concerned of the fact that today he seemed gutless. He seemed absolutely gutless. Okay, let's put him down and let's look at the X22. So at the time of recording this, the final X Nano Quadcopter in the family, the X22W, obviously W for Wi-Fi because it has a camera. We weren't testing that today though because it's a bit unfair with the other two that don't have cameras. His flight was a lot better. Again, a bit more stable, more reminiscent of the X21 than the X20. Transmitter, fantastic, no problem. I do like these transmitters. I do have a bit of a soft spot for them. His flight again seemed gutless. Speed mode 2, no, wasn't really doing anything. Wasn't really going anywhere. Just seemed to be battling the wind a little bit, and then every time I turned him round he would fly back to me, and then I'd turn him back around and he would try and struggle through the breeze again. But his overall flight, altitude hold, everything else was fine. Automatic takeoff, automatic landing, no problem whatsoever. What's my final verdict on which one is better? Okay, let's get all three of them. So we have the X21 at the top, X20 at the bottom, and the X22 here. Okay, so better flyer, X20, definitely. Power to weight ratio is a lot better than the X21 and the X22 in my opinion. I found him to be a lot easier to get through this little breeze, turn round, and just overall a little bit more fun. The X21, I often had in my mind, oh, is he going to get through this? Is he going to get down the bottom of the court? Is he going to do this? Or is he going to fly? Is he going to... You know, I often had far too many questions in the middle of flying that guy. That's not good. Likewise for the X22. A little bit too heavy, motors aren't powerful enough. Also, although the X22 is an upgrade on the X21 motor-wise, and the X21 is an upgrade on the X20 motor-wise. But at the same time, I still think the X21 and X22 are gutless. So, how do I distill this easily? X20, definitely, every time. Power to weight ratio is a lot better than the X21 and the X22. I find it a lot more enjoyable to control. My only thing would be I like the controller on the X20, but I prefer the controller on the X21, so it's a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest. If you were keeping them as indoor flyers, then you haven't got to worry about breeze, and you're absolutely fine, and I would definitely go with the X21 or the X22 because they are a lot nicer flyers than the X20. But if you're going to come outside, I would say X20, because today, as it's just shown, a little breeze, and the X20 cuts through, whereas the other two find it a little bit difficult. Alright then folks, thanks ever so much for watching and listening. I've been JD, you've been fantastic as always. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Hello and welcome to all the new subscribers. I hope you're enjoying the channel. So until next time, my friends, happy flying.